All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Wherever you're joining us from, we're so glad you could be here. My name is Kate Donegal. I'm an admissions counselor here at Syracuse. And of course, tonight is our pre-health advising information session. So we're going to be going over a lot of great information tonight. Before we get started, I'm going to give it just a few moments, make sure everyone who signed up this evening can click the link and enter the Zoom room and join us. So again, thanks so much for being here. Tonight I am joined by two wonderful co-presenters, Dr. Lauren Meyer. Dr. Meyer, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure, I'm Lauren Meyer. I'm the Director of Pre-Health Advising in the College of Arts and Sciences and Maxwell School, although we provide pre-health advising to the entire university.
Thank you. And I'm also joined by Lewis Smith, a current student. Lewis, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Lewis Smith. I'm a sophomore here on the pre-med track at Syracuse, majoring in biology and citizenship and civic engagement. And as we get more into it, I'll talk more about being a pre-health student at Syracuse.
Great. So thank you both. So tonight we have about 45 minutes together, and hopefully our goal is to answer a lot of questions you might have about Syracuse, what it's like to be a student here, and also focus, of course, on pre-health and what that looks like. If you have any questions as we go throughout the session, we do have a Q&A box that's open, so feel free to type those in at any point. You do not have to wait till the end. My colleague Jessie is also behind the scenes tonight, and she will be answering some of those and also saving some for us to answer live at the end. And lastly, before we dig in, I do just want to say congratulations. All of you on the call this evening are admitted students or families of admitted students. So we're really thrilled to have you here with us, and hopefully tonight's program will give you a better idea of what you can expect in terms of programming, programs, supports, resources here at Syracuse University. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want to share with you this evening is that here at Syracuse, we're really proud of the breadth of our academic offerings. So unlike maybe some other institutions, we do not have a dedicated pre-med major. So there's no one major that students have to major in or minor in or anything like that if you are considering or thinking about pursuing a career in the health fields. So whatever you are interested in studying, we definitely encourage you to pursue that here at Syracuse. And students can really customize your own academic path, blend interests across campuses in both the liberal arts and sciences, as well as programs across campus. Some of you tonight may have been admitted to a particular major, or maybe you're admitted to a certain school or college as an undecided student, and all of that is perfectly fine. Maybe even some of you on the call tonight were admitted to a certain major and you're like, well, actually, I'm still maybe considering this other major over here, right? We understand that, and that's all perfectly fine and encouraged. Students who are interested in pre-health can actually choose from any of our 200 majors and 100 minors and really take what interests you while still utilizing the resources in our pre-health advising office to make sure you're on the right path that you hope to pursue. Lewis, I was wondering if you could share, I know you already mentioned your majors, but maybe talk a little bit, like, did you come into Syracuse already knowing what you wanted to study, or what was that path like for you?
Yeah, most definitely. So I came into Syracuse as a declared biology major in the College of Arts and Sciences, knew I wanted to be a pre-health student based on my experiences in high school and whatnot. And I lived in a learning community on campus, which we might talk about a little later, but I lived in the health studies learning community. So it was a floor in Shaw Hall just dedicated to all health studies students. So I was surrounded by them. We all had similar classes. We could study together. It was a great way to have an immediate connection of friends. But my second major I added when I got to campus. So my second semester, freshman year, I added my citizenship and civic engagement major because I really like getting out in the community. I'm doing community service in a more public health aspect. So I got here, and then it was really easy to add that second major and I'm looking to add a minor. So there's a lot of flexibility in your schedule as a pre-health student.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So yeah, exactly what Lewis said is definitely possible. Even if you come in and you change your mind and you want to switch your major, you will have advisors to help you through all of that. You'll have both an academic advisor and a career advisor housed in your school or college, as well as the resources from pre-health advising, which Dr. Meyer is going to talk more about in a few minutes. I'll also mention that it's common for students to double major like Lewis. We also have students take a major and a minor, a major and multiple minors. It's really up to you and your advisors, and we can help you through all of that. Another common experience here at Syracuse that we definitely encourage students to pursue if it interests you is research. So Syracuse is a Research 1 university, and that basically means we have the top designation in terms of research universities in the country. So nuts and bolts, we put a lot of effort, resources, funding behind not only faculty research, but also for students. So if you're interested in research, you can definitely get involved as soon as your first year on campus. Our source, the Office of Undergraduate Research and Creative Engagement, is one place that can help you connect to opportunities. This office is just about 2 years old now, and their whole reason for being is to help undergraduate students connect to these opportunities. So whether you are going to support maybe a faculty member in one of their research labs on campus, whether you're going to get involved in one of our 30+ research institutes, things like the Gebby Clinic for Speech and Hearing, the Interdisciplinary Biomaterials Institute, or the Human Performance Laboratory, for example, especially if you're a health and exercise science student, that might interest you. But also you can also receive funding for your own research projects. So there is so much available here to choose from. And we can talk a little bit more about that if anyone has questions about how to get involved in research, but there's no shortage of opportunities here on campus. I know Dr. Meyer is going to touch on study abroad in terms of pre-health specific programs a little bit later in our session, but I do just want to mention that we have a world of global experiences at your fingertips here at Syracuse, again, no matter what major you're studying in. All students at Syracuse are encouraged to study abroad. We actually have one of the top rated study abroad programs, again, in the nation. We have over 100 places students can study abroad. And again, no matter what you're studying, you are encouraged and your advisors will work with you to help you find a time that you can go. Students can study abroad for a whole semester or for a short-term program. And there's some really amazing themed programs that are available to students with a health perspective offered. For example, we have a global health summer program in South Africa. There's also the program I am truly most jealous of and hope maybe I get to go on someday. I'm crossing my fingers, which involves a 3-week trek to the base camp of Mount Everest. Again, this is a great idea for students interested in physiology or health and exercise science, because they're not only studying how elevation and altitude affects the body, but you are experiencing it at the same time. So there's some really cool faculty-led programs like that offered every year. We have 5 Syracuse Abroad centers. Those are in London, Madrid, Spain, Florence, Italy, Santiago, Chile, and Strasbourg, France. So in those 5 centers, it's really, I know one of my colleagues like to say, you basically just like show up and it's very grab your suitcase and go. You'll be learning from Syracuse University faculty in those locations. There's also kind of like field trips planned and things like that that make your stay a little bit more seamless. But we also have partner programs in over 60 different countries around the globe. So wherever you are dreaming of studying, we can probably help you make it happen. I'll also mention here, we believe we have an unparalleled student experience. So with over 300 student clubs and organizations, there's no shortage of things to get involved in. Everything from club sports to Greek life to performing arts organizations, community service, you name it. And we even have several clubs and organizations that have a focus on health. So some of those include our Syracuse University Ambulance Squad, which trains students to be EMTs, a great way to get experience, hands-on experience with patients. Other things like global medical brigades, organizations that focus on public health, etc. So lots of opportunities to get involved, help you kind of solidify your interest professionally, but also just have fun as a student on campus. Lewis, I want to pause here too. Do you want to share maybe about some of the organizations you're involved with on campus?
Yeah, of course. And I would also like to echo what you said about the student experience, how it's truly just unparalleled to any other experience that I thought coming into Syracuse. With the 300 organizations, it's super easy to find an organization on campus that you really mesh with and love the people. And that is what makes Syracuse feel like home for me. So a couple of things I do on campus. I'm part of Orange Seeds, which is a program just for first year students, which is big in community service, which is super important for pre-health students. I'm also a big part of Autothon. So Autothon is our 12-hour dance marathon on campus. And we partner with Upstate Golisano Children's Hospital, which is right, not even a mile away from campus, I would say, which is a fundraising effort doing 12 hours of straight dancing for one day a year. So it's a super awesome event and organization. And we also have a really great partnership with Upstate Hospital. So this semester I had the opportunity to intern at Upstate in their pediatric department. So getting hands-on experience, forming relationships with real like leading pediatricians for, in my case, in the field, and building my resume and interview skills for med school is really unique to Syracuse.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know Dr. Meyer is going to talk more about internships and building your resume and experiences in just a minute. I also want to mention, Lewis earlier mentioned he lived in a living learning community. And so just want to highlight those as well for our incoming students. We have over 20 living learning communities that you can apply into on your housing application, which maybe some of you will be doing that soon. There are lots of different themed options you can choose from, and several of them do have kind of a health focus. So there is our health studies living learning community, our engineering computer science living learning community, science, technology, and math. But there's also, I believe, like a health and exercise science community. There's ones based on creative writing. There's a multicultural living learning community, an LGBT living learning community. So there's lots to choose from. These can be a great way to live with students who have similar interests to you right from the get-go and really build a strong foundation and community. They're totally optional, but it's a great thing to consider if you have that interest. Several of the health kind of focused or STEM focused living learning communities are housed in Shaw Hall, which is really also close to our life sciences building, where many of you might be taking some classes. Living learning communities, sometimes they have a class that they take together, which can be really nice. And also might be doing field trips or having speakers come, lots of things to kind of help explore your interest in that area. So Lewis, anything else you wanted to add about your LLC experience?
Yeah, so I had a super positive LLC experience living with all health studies kids. And some unique things that you get living in the learning community is you have a peer mentor specific for your learning community. So I'm the health studies peer mentor right now. And so we're linked with the 10 or 12 or 15 students on the floor, how many it is, and you get individualized academic or mentorship training once a week with a student who's walked that path before, which I found super beneficial with what professors to take, what classes to take, what things to get involved with. It really kind of gives you a good advantage against, I guess, other students, in terms of that. I mean, you're also paired with a faculty advisor as well. And so that is a great way to get an initial relationship with some of your professors that you'll have to kind of start building those like letters of recommendation and relationships with faculty.
Definitely, so important. Thank you for sharing that. Great. Okay, so maybe some of you have not had a chance yet to visit Syracuse at the campus, but also our surrounding city and area. So do just want to highlight that briefly. Syracuse has a city of resources. We are a mid-sized city, so definitely not as large as Manhattan or LA or maybe some of the cities that you are coming from, but I think we have a wonderful amount of resources for college students. We're 10 minutes from the airport. We have lots of fun things to do, shops, restaurants, museums, etc., but also lots of resources for students who are pre-health minded. So we're within walking distance to we have 4 local hospitals, walking distance to 3 of them. I know Lewis mentioned Upstate, which is one. You can kind of see that here in the photo, but also Krause Hospital and a VA medical center as well. We are also, for anyone who is thinking veterinary school or interested in working with animals, we have a zoo in Syracuse. So really unique experience there. Tons of other community health centers, clinics, and opportunities to get involved. in the surrounding area. And because of our proximity to these resources, students really have a chance to not only intern, like Louis mentioned, but take advantage of visiting speakers, symposiums, go on grand rounds, for example. I know Dr. Meyer is going to share more about that and some of the options you have as a student here in just a minute. So definitely a vibrant city and a great place to be a student on campus. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, to Dr. Meyer, and thanks, and take it away.
So hello, everyone. As you can tell, I'm at home, just going to give you a little bit of a disclaimer that if you hear my dogs, I apologize. So kind of back to where we started is that there's no one major or pathway to do any of this kind of pre-health preparation, whether that's for med school, dental school, veterinary school, PA school, nursing, any of those kinds of things, right? This is a developmental process, and through your experiences, you determine what your passions are and what the pathway is that you'd like to follow, right? So there's no rubric or checklist for any of these experiences. What is important is that once you've made that determination that what you're looking toward is, let's say, medical school, that you familiarize yourself with what is medical school, how do I get in, what's the timing, and the application process, okay? So it's important to know that process, to know the requirements, what courses do I need to take, which I can pair with any major I really want to understand what a committee letter is, and that's a little bit of homework for everybody. If you want to go look up your dream med school and look at their website and see what they talk about a committee letter, and that's us, right? And think about the standardized testing that is necessary for you to reach that goal, whether that's the MCAT or the GRE or the DAT, right? What is that test that you eventually need to prepare for? That's not something that you're going to do in the course of a month, right? You might study very intentionally for, let's say, 3 months, but it's 3 years of coursework to get you to that point. And then you also need to feel ready for that not only stressful piece of application, but for what students will tell me is an unstoppable freight train that becomes something like medical school education, right? Which is very legitimately 8 to 12 years, depending upon if you want to do fellowships and things like that, right? And that you're also prepared for that financial journey. The application is a financial commitment as well as the schooling. Go ahead. What medical schools are looking for is that your development is holistic. So medical schools and dental schools and PA schools do something that they call holistic review. And so what they're doing is looking at you as a person as a whole, okay? It's not just your academics, intellectual aptitude. It's not just your curiosity. What did you major in? What were those other things that you thought were really interesting, right? Did you step outside a comfort zone? Did you follow that pathway that you really wanted to? But it's also demonstrating and being able to show to other people that you understand what that clinical environment is like, that you want to be of service to that community that's around you, because medicine is a service profession ultimately, right? And then also exhibiting the type of character that not only the schools, but other practitioners and any licensing agencies want to see in a practicing healthcare provider, okay? But the most important thing in all of this is to do things that you are passionate about, things that motivate you, and to allow people to see who you are through what you do, right? And being yourself, but also feeling like you can put yourself out there and try new things. Go ahead. Toward that end, we have developed and launched what's called the Pre-Health Engagement Certificate. This certificate gives you the chance to explore and define your interests in a way that we're leaving it uniquely up to you, okay? So there's a couple of things that are a little bit more standardized. You have to attend during your first or second year at Syracuse, you have to attend the orientation for first and second year pre-health students. it's me talking like this again, okay? And I offer it at least 3 times a year. This year it'll be 4. And then attend at least 3 pre-health related events. And I've been very flexible with that, especially this year. Although we've offered a lot of events because it's easier for schools to come to us once it's virtual. So we've had a lot of visiting schools, but this might be an MCAT session. We had a session with Exam Crackers and Princeton Review this semester. It might be things like an information session by those schools or other programs. It might be something like public health grand rounds, which are a little bit more difficult, slightly more difficult to interact with right now, just given COVID. Pre-COVID, I used to take the opportunity to walk around outside, and I would walk down to Upstate and go to public health grand rounds, and was able to interact there. They bring in speakers, and I actually got Narcan certified during one of those grand rounds, and they're open, and other departments have them as well. And other things like research presentations. Different departments on campus host very interesting speakers, and I want you to feel free to go to those and actually see how that's contributing to your pre-health development. And then complete at least 30 hours of clinical volunteering, which is not shadowing. Okay, shadowing is, I would say, less important than volunteering when it comes to preparation for pre-health. And in terms of things, 30 hours is probably on the lower end, but at least gets you started and gets you thinking about what you want to do. And then attending at least 2 community engagements events. And these can be on campus, off campus. I've been also very flexible with these. With this idea of virtual events, this has been a lot easier for students to attend things all over the country, right, to see what's going on. I know that I've been attending lots and lots of pre-health conferences because I don't have to travel. Okay, so it's actually been convenient in that way. And then the students who earn the certificate are given priority interviews with the pre-health evaluation committee, which is our body on campus that writes those committee letters. Back to your homework, right? Look up your dream med school, see what they require for their application in terms of letters. If they say committee letter, that is our committee, which is run in our office, right? And so by completion of the certificate, you would get a priority interview with our committee. Go ahead. So remember back to saying know your landscape, right? So part of that is required coursework, and these are the prerequisites for med school. So while you're doing your homework, you're at your dream med school, whatever school that might be, look up their prerequisites, okay? You're going to see that they say things like a year of general biology, a year of general chemistry, either 1 or 2 semesters of organic chemistry, biochemistry, a year of physics, and usually statistics. Okay. Syracuse University, obviously we offer all of those courses. Students generally start with bio and chemistry, so general biology, general chemistry. And then in terms of other differences, dental schools require microbiology because you're obviously dealing with a lot of microbes in the mouth. PA schools generally require a year of anatomy and physiology. And we have that both at the biology majors level and for non-biology majors. And then most of the PA schools require some sort of work in developmental psychology. So psychology of development, be that adolescent or of the aging population. Some of these schools also require something like medical terminology. We have that course. It's actually being offered right now. And the students are very much enjoying the course. I've talked to a few of them this semester. So that being said, the common base level of basically the base level, all the pre-health pieces are Gen Bio and Gen Chem. And so it's taking those courses unlocks the pathway for you, and you can still do exploration and still think about what's in it for you and what do you really want to do, okay? So you don't feel like because you've decided you're going to take general biology, general chemistry, you're locked into pre-med. It's not the case, right? There's always room to figure what you really like. Go ahead. Another thing to think about are letters of recommendation. So in our committee letter process, back to your homework, remember, look at the committee letter process at your dream med school. In our committee letter process, we require letters of recommendation written on your behalf by those that are close to you, professors, people you've worked with, supervisors, things like that. Because inherently those letters of rec, you want to be really reflective of a close relationship, you need to actually put the work in to develop that close relationship. Those are kinds of things that are fostered over a number of semesters or even years of work together. And so that's not something that can happen on the spot when you need recommendation letters. So it's something you need to be thinking about and be intentional about from the beginning of your college career. Because even if that professor that you developed a relationship with in Gen Chem doesn't eventually write a letter, that was still a good relationship to have. And you never know if an internship recommendation or research recommendation can come out of that relationship, right? So close relationships with your faculty is really something to strive for. And it's something that you should be doing early and often, even if it's not someone that you eventually get a letter of recommendation from, right? But it's about knowing the process and understanding that you have to foster those relationships early. You can go ahead. Okay, remember, you are not just checking boxes to look good to an admissions committee or to just meet some requirements that you think are might eventually lead to admission, right? You are preparing yourself to enter the field of healthcare, right? And to be responsible for someone's health decisions on some level, right? That's a very ethically heavy kind of thing to take on. And so you are developing yourself in terms of those good decision-making skills, the critical thinking, the lifelong learning kinds of aspects that come with these kinds of careers, right? And so a nice little quote there, wherever the art of medicine is loved, there's also a love of humanity, right? And so things like Lewis's major in CCE, that's wonderful, right? Because it gives you that pathway through which to explore those kinds of commitments, okay? And you can go ahead. I've got something, Lewis and I need to chat at some point, but I guess we need to do it. You also need to gain experience, right? Remember what I said before, you need to show people who you are through what you do, okay? We assume that people do things because they really enjoy them, they're passionate about them, and they're doing them because there's that sense of fulfillment, okay? So if you're not doing things that you enjoy, I'm going to get a different impression of you if you're telling me these things on a resume or an application, right? So get those experiences, try those new things, but eventually find the things that are really passionate to you and be committed to them, okay? That might be research, that might be working, that might be community service. That could be things like public health courses, which might lead you to maybe a public health minor or major. And like I am currently a graduate student in the addiction studies program, it might lead you to doing something like that, okay? The way to show people who you are through what you do. You can go ahead. There's also lots of clinical opportunities, although those are understandably somewhat limited at the moment because of COVID restrictions, right? So Syracuse is home to many hospitals within walking distance of campus. There is Upstate, there's Dallas Central Children's Hospital, there's Krause, and there's the VA. Slightly farther away is St. Joe's, and a little bit farther, 3 miles or something, is Community General, which is a part of Upstate. And we have students who have worked as patient care associates at all these hospitals, as medical scribes, as volunteers, and doing research, especially at Upstate. We have students that have done that. So there are plentiful opportunities walking distance from campus. If you're interested in something like vet school, there's a zoo very close by. I had one of my students that interned there. And we also have what's called the Alumni Connections Program in the College of Arts and Sciences, where our alumni have come back to us and said, we'd really like to help current students. And you sign up for the program and tell them what kind of people you're interested in talking to, and you get set up over Zoom usually now, which is very convenient for both the alum and the student. And you can have nice, fruitful conversations about those things. We had an alumni panel last semester with the president of a medical school, right, who's an alum. Okay. Go ahead. We do have some early assurance programs. One of them I'd like to highlight is the Albany Medical College program. This would be a sophomore application. And I won't read you all of the details here. Don't fret, you don't need to write any of this down. This is also on our website if anyone's interested. The basics of the program is it's a sophomore application such that between sophomore and junior year in that summer, you would really be doing your application, having interviews, potentially being accepted. If accepted, no MCAT would be required, and you would matriculate directly to Albany Medical College after completion of your degree. You do need to maintain a semester and overall GPA of 3.5. Go ahead. We also have the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine affiliation. Lake Erie has the Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine degree, the DDS, and PharmD. They also have multiple campuses. The DO has the Erie campus and the Elmira campus in the Bradenton, Florida. The DDS has Erie and Bradenton. So there's multiple campuses. Students who are yet to matriculate can apply to the LECOM program, and you do that directly through LECOM. If chosen for an interview and then acceptance, they notify us, and then you're part of that program. And you can also do that in your first year after your first semester grades have come back from Syracuse University. And I also won't read you all of those details also on our website, and I can point people there if they would like to know more. Go ahead. I've spent my entire career in academics and as a professor and now as an advisor, and I don't think I've ever seen a student body as engaged, not only with multiple majors and minors, but also with study abroad. I want to say probably at least 50%, if not more, of the pre-health students that I know of have gone abroad for a semester or a summer and very much enjoy their experience. Syracuse has, as Caitlin said, we have our Syracuse University centers. I had one of our pre-med students, she's actually finishing her first year of med school this year, was an economics major, and she went to Santiago, Chile, and took economics courses from the economic minister of the country, right? Living with a host family, immersed in the language, and then was able to bring all of that experience back and write her honors thesis, right, on topics that she really flushed out during her study abroad. And again, she's a first year med student this year. So you can go ahead. So a big part of the pre-health journey is, am I there yet, right? Is my application not only at the spot where you think an admissions committee would look upon it favorably, but is it at the spot where you feel like it adequately and accurately describes you as a potential medical student and a potential physician or dentist or physician assistant? Have you demonstrated enough clinical competency and awareness? Okay. Can you demonstrate your intellectual aptitude, not only through a GPA and grades and courses, but through exploration, through showing your interests, right? Have you served others beyond yourself? And do I have those other attributes that people are looking for? Reliability, dependability, cultural competence, right? Resilience. Do I have those, and can I demonstrate them, right? And that's really about not only meeting with pre-health advisors and discussing those things, but it's about doing the necessary work in terms of self-reflection. I encourage students to journal about their experiences and to really get into what did I learn from this and where did it then lead me next. You can go ahead. There's tons of data. I'd be happy to talk about lots and lots of data. In terms of nationwide data, the mean age of first year medical students is almost 25 now. So it's just over 24 for the last cycle. And this is nationwide. It's not just at Syracuse University. And in terms of Syracuse University specific data, the mean GPA for our students who matriculated to med school in the 2018 to 2019 MD cycle. So this was students entering med school in 2019. I could have updated this number for 2020 and I can give that, but obviously the 2021 cycle is still ongoing. The average mean GPA was a 3.72. I just said average mean, which is the same thing. The BCPM, which is their biology, chemistry, physics, math GPA, so basically the sciences, the hard sciences, was a 3.65. Their mean MCAT was a 511, which is about a percentile rank of between 82 and 84, depending on the standardization. And our acceptance rate for 2017 through 2019, and this is nationwide, I apologize. The acceptance rate nationwide was 41%. You can see that nationwide, if you look at that 3.4 to 3.59 GPA and lower MCAT, that drops off significantly to about 29%. As an aside, what we've seen this cycle, which obviously is not complete, so this is somewhat speculative, is that we saw about a 25% increase in applications last cycle, so last summer. And people started calling this the Fauci effect, which I am not terribly sold on quite yet. However, that is going to inevitably lead to the acceptance rate going down probably quite sharply, because the number of med school seats didn't increase at the same time. And we are, when I say we, pre-health advisors across the nation are very, we're wondering how that's going to play out in the coming years, right? And we don't quite understand what that's going to bring. So you can go ahead. Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, the mean age was about 23. Again, that's nationwide. The mean GPA was a 3.54 and the mean MCAT was a 5.03. In terms of acceptance rate, again, this is nationwide, it was about 35%. Okay, so if you hear people say that DO, Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, is a backup or a safety for medical school, that's kind of not true, right? The acceptance rate to medical school was 41%. The acceptance rate to MD programs, allopathic medicine, 41%. Versus 35% for Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine. So you can go ahead. Dental schools. This number I don't think was going to be increased or decreased by COVID. I don't think we saw as the increase in applications. So the total acceptance rate is about 54%. And the average GPA for science was a 3.55. And the average, or the academic average, was about an 18 or a 19, which is right in where I would recommend. So where are our students in terms of medicine? And there's many more than this. This is a selected list. We have a lot of students at Upstate. We have enough alumni at Upstate that we actually launched this year the Orange to Upstate mentoring program, where current Upstate students, alums from Syracuse mentor our current undergraduates. We have students at Albert Einstein, Mount Sinai, University of Washington, the Uniformed Services University, so the United States Medical School, and dental school, NYU, Tufts, Buffalo, vet school at Cornell, pharmacy at Michigan and Buffalo. Those are ones I'm just pulling off the top of my head. You can go ahead. The biggest thing to remember is that we are here to help, right? And I tell students this probably in every appointment, maybe a little bit different every single appointment, but I would rather answer a question 1,000 times than for anybody to be confused about anything. So we are absolutely here, reach out, we want to be your resource. Just like the thing I needed to talk to Lewis about was I heard he was going to declare a minor and I'm his advisor, so we should have a little bit of chat. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Meyer. So like she just mentioned, we have lots of resources on the website as well. So if you're looking for more information about the pre-health engagement certificate or any of the early assurance programs, etc., definitely look up our pre-health advising website. Maybe Jesse can drop that link in the chat for everyone, but also the contact information is here on the slide. I do want to take a few minutes. We have had quite a few questions come in. So definitely want to pull on both Dr. Myers and Lewis's expertise here. So our first question, is anyone part of the honors program and how can that help someone interested in pre-med. So Louis, I think you are uniquely positioned to answer this, so take it away.
Sure. Yeah. So I am a student in the Renee Crowd Honors Program. I was admitted when I was admitted to Syracuse, I got into the honors program, but you can apply to the honors program now until I think April 15th is the deadline, if you're still looking to join. So kind of some unique things with the honors program. There are many. So first, I get early access to courses to pick my course schedule. So the way Syracuse does it, because there's so many students, you have a select enrollment date, and you can only enroll classes on that date or after. And that's because some classes fill up faster. And so, seniors need priority, but also honor students get priority. So I have no problem getting into any class that I desire. So that's one perk to the honors program. But I think the main thing that I've gotten out of honors is that we get a unique subset of classes that a lot of other students aren't awarded. So for example, I've taken classes in like opioid addiction, and that was with a person from the community. So a lot of these classes in honors are very niche and specific, but they're taught by real people coming from Syracuse who have a tremendous network of individuals behind them. I took another class called The Human Predicament that was all about, how humans interact. And that was with a psychiatrist. So he could tell us all about his own personal experience as that. And again, that network landed me my internship at Upstate that I'm doing currently. So I really can't underestimate or understate how impactful the honors program is in my academic career. They also have funding as well for students looking to do research. So, if you need money for any reason for that, the honors program can supply it, as well as you have a unique advisor on top of your pre-health one or your major one. So tons and tons of perks to the honors program.
Awesome, thank you. And yes, admitted students are welcome to apply to the honors program. Like Louis mentioned, the application deadline for this year is April 15th. So a few more days left. You can go to honors.syr.edu. The application is right on the website. It's pretty short. I think it's 2 questions. And also students can be admitted as sophomores to the honors program as well. So they only take a certain number of students each year, but there are multiple opportunities to apply. All right, next question. Dr. Meyer, this one might be a good one for you. If you want to study pre-medicine, how do you get specific guidance on going to graduate school or medical school, MCAT guidance? Can you talk a little bit more about the advising process?
Yeah, sure. And I guess that's something, we should bring up, and Louis is a great example. So in our office, myself and the assistant director also act as academic advisors for declared pre-health students in the College of Arts and Sciences and Maxwell School. So in Louis's case, he's actually my advisee. So we work together. If we have an appointment, he knows I'm going to ask about his academics. He knows I'm going to ask him about the pre-health kinds of things, right? There's almost never an appointment where I let anybody get away without telling me their summer plans for the next summer, even if it's like October. Okay. So that's students in the College of Arts and Sciences, although, and you have to be a declared student, which means you need to be out of your first year because we have dedicated first year advisors. You have to have a declared major. Although we still advise students if they haven't met those criteria quite yet. So from the first day on, right, you can access us and ask questions. If you are not in the College of Arts and Sciences, although I am not your dedicated academic advisor, if say you're a public health major in Folk, I am still your pre-health advisor, or myself or my colleague, Ms. Brancato. We are still your pre-health advisor, and we are happy to schedule appointments. We have an online appointment scheduling service. And we are going to talk about what are your plans? How are you getting there? What's your summer plans? Tell me what you're doing in terms of involvement on campus and off campus, and tell me what the kinds of things are that you might want to do, right? And then we will look through things. So I would say in terms of advising, I like to think of advising like coaching, right? I'm not going to necessarily hand you opportunities, but we're going to figure out ways where you can develop those tools and get to where you want to be.
Awesome, thank you. And I know we've hit on this a little bit throughout the program tonight, but definitely no shortage of advice and advisors and multiple folks you will cross paths with here at Syracuse. everyone from, your peer advisors, maybe in a LLC, to even some of our schools and colleges have dedicated peer advisors. You'll have an academic advisor, you'll have access to a career advisor housed in your school or college. So lots of advice and support all across campus. Okay, next question. How do you think COVID-19 will affect internships at hospitals and other places? How do you think it will affect study abroad and research opportunities? So maybe both of you want to take a tack at this and address from your experiences.
Yeah, I can definitely take the first part. As a student who's currently interning at Upstate Gossau Children's Hospital, and how COVID has kind of affected my path there. So the internship that I currently do is in two departments, in the pediatric department and in the rural medicine department, and both are virtual opportunities. So basically, since Upstate has their own clinic that serves the city of Syracuse, all of their appointments right now are telemedicine. So what I get to do is I get to get on a WebEx call with a wonderful physician, and I sit on and I basically do shadowing hours with her in the clinic with all of her patients that are telemedicine. So I'm really not losing any experience in any way, because I'm still seeing how a physician interacts with their patients in good practice, and still learning and asking the questions that I need to. So I wouldn't say that COVID, has by any means negatively impact my internship opportunities. And I think in the years to come and in the months to come, as hopefully COVID gets better, they'll start allowing more people into the hospital. So I did get an opportunity to go on a grand rounds at Upstate Hospital when they are allowing visitors, which they're doing right now. And I'm hopeful that next semester, their restrictions will ease as the vaccine rolls out. So COVID-19 hasn't really had a negative impact on my internship experience.
I'll just say generally, and this is going to be one of my little spiels that I do. Internship is a tough word when it comes to a pre-med student, because that technically means a fourth-year med student. And so we're more looking at paid employment or volunteering or doing research in a clinical research study, things like that. Certainly, I will admit it's been more difficult than it was, a year and a half ago, let's say. Right now, it's about being creative, okay? And it's about seeking out those opportunities like Lewis found. It's about putting yourself out there to be of help in what ways you can. We've had students doing COVID testing. One of our alums, works doing research all week on SARS-CoV-2, and then on the weekends he volunteers to do COVID testing. It's about volunteering to potentially be the greeter that is at every doctor's office or hospital now that's checking people for symptoms. It's about getting involved with our COVID testing on campus. It's about thinking outside the box, because the need didn't go away. It's just about where those opportunities are.
Thank you both. And I'll also just mention, I know whoever asked that question did touch on study abroad. So just like Dr. Meyer and Lewis mentioned, our study abroad office has been really creative as well. Several classes are being offered from those locations virtually. But I do know, moving forward, so we've been in person this year here on campus. Some classes have been virtual, some in person, same thing with research labs and other projects. And next semester, fall 2021, we are planning for a fully in-person semester. So definitely check out our website, go to the study abroad website and let us know what other questions you have. You can certainly email us and we can put you in contact with the folks who can best answer your question. Okay, next question, Lewis, I'm hoping you can talk a little bit about this. Syracuse is the largest school. I was wondering how the environment in classes is. How big are your classes typically?
Yes, so my classes, so the environment in the classroom is very energetic. It's a very collaborative school and environment. There's a lot of sharing notes or Quizlets or helping each other on exams. There's not that sense of competitiveness amongst the students in the class. We're all very there to see each other succeed and to succeed on our own. So I thoroughly enjoy going to class, being with my friends. and in learning whatever subject and course I want to. The environment is phenomenal, truly. And then how big are my classes? So it depends on which class. So if it's like a general chemistry class, I think there are about 150 students in my general chemistry class, or my organic chemistry class is about the same 150 students, which is fine because you can still develop a relationship with your professors. So, when we were in person, the professors would walk around and say, "Hi, Lewis, how are you? What are you struggling with?" So the professors really are what make the class feel small, as well as you have, teaching assistants, you have learning assistants, which are undergraduate students, as well as a recitation class. So recitation class is a class of about 15 to 20 students that meets once a week outside of the lecture. So for general chemistry lecture, you have 2 lectures a week, about an hour and 20 minutes each with, 150 to 200 students, where it can be big and intimidating to ask questions and stuff. So that's why they offer these recitations that students have to go to with about 15 to 20 students and a teaching assistant and some other students, and you just kind of troubleshoot problems and you ask questions. And that's really where you get like one-on-one individual tutoring. But I'll also mention Syracuse has a ton of free tutoring opportunities. Our class, Center for Learning and Student Success, I'm pretty sure, offers, very individualized one-on-one tutoring in a lot of STEM classes that tend to be more difficult. And that's what students or graduate students have gone through that before. So there are plenty of resources to be successful outside of the classroom. But truly, the students, the environment, the professors are all fantastic.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, looks like our last question, and maybe Lewis, if you want to take a stab at this one too, not to put you on the spot, but what do you think makes a good applicant for the honors program? So can you talk about what have you seen in your classmates and peers in the honors program?
Yeah, the best part about the honors program is that there's not this one cookie cutter student that is perfect. What I love about the honors program is that you hear all about perspectives of other students and lived experience that they have. And that's really what shapes kind of your holistic understanding of being an individual and being a student. So I think if students are curious, if they are open to learning, if they're wanting to try new things, if they're not afraid to kind of step out of their comfort zone, like there's a class there all on stand-up comedy where you have to give comedy that I'm hoping to take, and I'm not funny. So, I'm hoping to kind of try to be vulnerable in that sense. But like I said, if a student is just willing to be curious, to be creative, to be themselves, and to be kind of unencumbered by the pre-med requirements and just kind of have some freedom and fun in their schedule, then they would be a great fit for the honors program.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll definitely also mention, so the honors website has lots of information about resources Lewis has mentioned, how to apply, and the 2 application questions. I'll just say it doesn't hurt to apply. So if you're interested in it, give it a shot. The contact information for the honors program is also on their website if you have questions. And I believe we recently just had a virtual session all about honors. So definitely check out our YouTube channel. We definitely post recordings of that, and you can see ones from previous years as well. So if you do want to hear a deep dive into honors, check that out. So before we conclude today, any last parting words either of you want to share, or any last advice to our admitted students?
Yeah, I can start. Just again, I would love to congratulate you all, on being admitted to Syracuse. I always say choosing Syracuse was, the best decision of my life, and they don't pay me to say that, so I truly mean it. And I really hope if you've learned something from this opportunity or this session that resonates with you, that you do choose Syracuse, because I can't understate how simply awesome the university is and the people that make it up.
And I'll just add that the most important thing for you to do on your pathway is to represent yourself and your passions and your interests, and to give yourself the freedom to explore new things, right? The differences between high school and college are vast, right? And being able to do that exploration, not only in the academic field, but in your experiences, in your student organizations, in your research, is a really big deal. And so you need to find that place where you feel like you're being given those opportunities. And that's a lot of what pre-health is about, and especially also pre-health advising. So we're going to push you a little bit, right? But we hope that we're going to do that in a way that allows you to explore.
Great. Thank you both so much. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Thank you all for being here with us this evening. Again, if you have any further questions, please reach out to us, prehealthadvising@syr.edu, or the main admissions email is orange@syr.edu. You're probably all familiar with that one. So feel free to reach out and ask questions, and we will be happy to get those answered for you. But thank you again, and take care, everyone. Have a great night.